Hey, my name is Gina McCauley and welcome to Real Talk. We are going to be diving into some amazing conversations with some really awesome guests. And we're doing things a little different this season with Real Talk. We want to be able to expand on the conversation on different topics about life, some of our struggles, some of the things that we go through as young people. And so we have an amazing first guest. He's not actually a guest. He's someone that everyone knows and loves very much. He is a developer of people. He meets people where they're at. He is one of the most passionate people when it comes to youth and engaging with teenagers on a real level. He is our very own Central Youth Pastor, Pastor Tim Summers. Well, thank you for making time to be with us today. We're in one of our first episodes of Real Talk in this new season that we're in. And we're getting to talk with some amazing guests who are really gonna help us expand on some deep conversations, but we really wanna be able to get to know you as a guest. You're not really a guest. You're pretty much the person who makes all of this happen.
Yeah, I was about to say, thanks for making time for this. I'm like, this is our job.
Thanks for getting paid to do this, basically. We're going to talk about just some of the ideas that we've seen come up through this last volume of rejecting the empire and embracing the kingdom. We know that that is built off of 1 Timothy 4. Give us a little bit of insight into what made you choose that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about steering the youth ministry, I really like to think that our pastor steers it, and I'm just the one that's like, down there by the pedal, pushing the gas as long and as fast as we can go. So reject the empire, embrace the kingdom was a phrase that he talked about coming out of the message, what you mean is up to me. And when we were thinking about Youth X 21, that's kind of like our calendar year of how we build out our what we call a scope and cycle. Mm-hmm. So every month, these are the kind of the topics we're going to be talking about. Yeah. And so this semester, I was like, for Youth X 21, I was thinking 1 Timothy 4, the entire chapter, and it's all about teaching with your life, by faith, by demeanor, by your integrity, by your heart, and by your character. Mm-hmm. And so if we can understand those 5 things right there, oh my gosh, roll back the tape. Like, that's it. That's what we need to be able to realize. And we got to go deep in that. Absolutely. What does that mean by faith? If we want to reject the empire and embrace the kingdom, we've got to understand these 5 principles. Yes. We need less leaders and better examples. That's so true. And I think that's something that a lot of people are not okay with saying. Because they're like, no, we do need leaders, for sure. Yeah. I agree, but we need better examples. Yeah. And then let those better examples lead the way. Yes, absolutely. And what I love about that verse is that it's directed to youth. Yeah. The Bible's literally saying, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young. Everyone uses that, right? Yeah. Everyone uses that. But I love that it's talking to young people saying, you're the ones that are actually leading the way. Exactly. Yeah. And the patterns you're creating right now are the patterns that you're going to live in 10 years from now. Exactly. And if we don't understand that, that's where we get in trouble in our rebel years. That's what we call them now, because it's just a thing. Well, every teenager goes through that. And I'm like, I get it, but I'm also like, but why? Yeah. Like, why do we have to? And I think that's such a good question, finding the root of what causes that. Mm-hmm. And if we think of teenagers, we typically think of young people with attitudes or young people with like just an I don't care facade kind of put on. Yeah. Do you agree with that? I have a teenager. I've got a 14-year-old. He's amazing. He's probably one of the most humble people I've ever met. Wow. But I also see everything. Maybe not like in a godlike sense, but I see the things behind closed doors too. And he said something the other day. He's like, well, yeah, Dad, but I'm a teenager. I'm supposed to do this. Wow. I never knew how much that phrase irritated me until he said it. Because I used to say that, and it's like I gave myself permission to be stupid. Yeah. If we're honest, it's not, well, no, it's just not to know everything or be as wise. No, it's so you can make a dumb decision and be okay with it. This is the time to mess up. This is the time to try things. And now I don't have to regret it. Now I don't have to own it. Yeah. I don't have to take responsibility because I'm a teenager. And if you're talking about wanting to change the world or be an influencer or shift culture, which I think every teenager grows up and goes, like, I have a big dream. If you are talking like that, then you can't talk like this.
Where do you think that stems from? What do you think the root of that is?
Apathy. It's easier.
It's way easier.
It's way easier. Why do I have to think about that when you're not? Yeah, maybe when I'm older.
Yeah.
Everyone else does this, so why not do? And it's almost subconscious. When you were born, your brain is creating new pathways to what this certain thing means when I hear this, when my dad says this, who my dad is, why I think this when I see this kind of person.
And those are actual physical pathways too.
Physical pathways.
Not just...
Okay, yes.
They're actual physical...
Not just emotional or...
Yes.
You're doing the exact same thing when you're a teenager. You are creating pathways, patterns on how you will treat a woman based off of what you are experiencing or seeing right now. You are creating pathways right now. When you get 20, 22, 25, 30, however long, a lot of people will have to go back, erase that pathway and start and retrain and restart. That's why it's so hard. But if you can learn how to do it at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, guess what? It's gonna save you years
absolutely.
of time.
Okay, let's talk about that. What are some of those things that you feel like you've had to go back and retrain?
Man, there's so many things that come to mind. Like, I think about church completely different, even just in the last year. Like when I was 16, how I would respond to people initially. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I had a temper. I still do have a temper. Yeah. I'm not going to say that a temper is that.
You're my boss. I haven't seen that.
Those are things that I'm having to go back on and go, where did those things start from?
Let's say, how do you feel like you've had to retrain in understanding what community has been over the last year or two? When
you're in high school, I can't even imagine what they're going through right now, because they're having to really lean on FaceTime or Zooms or social media, which can kind of seem very surface level. If you're smart with it, it doesn't have to be. But again, the lack of discipline and apathy that runs rampant in our culture, most people do. Like, if I want to have a relationship with people, it's not just enough to work with you. You know, I texted you and David last night talking about, hey, let's hang out. Because it's not just going to be enough to just be in close quarters with you guys. It's going to be, let's eat together. Let's see a different side of each other. Exactly, because that's just normal. Like, cause that can almost sound bad. A different side of you. Oh, so if I go to your house, you're not the same person. Blah, blah. Well, no, it's just like you're comfortable there. Right? So like, let me get to know you on a deeper level. I love what you said a little earlier about intentionality. I think that's so important when it comes to our demeanor, how we display our integrity, our character. Why do you think it's so important that we do set an example and that we do lead with good attitudes, not just as Christians, but in life in general? Why is that so important? You can't spell intentionality without tension. My biggest pet peeve, and my wife will tell you this, it's so true. You can just ask her. Like, y'all should go and ask her. She will say, is people with bad attitudes. What is it about a bad attitude that ticks you off so much? Okay. It stems from my sister. Okay. Oh, we're getting juicy now. It stems from my sister. And I don't even know if that's right. I'm very attuned to people's attitude because I'm like, I don't know, I guess I just grew up watching it. So it fascinates me how people can like have such a bad attitude, but they're so blessed. Some people will go through really difficult times that leads to a bad attitude, or what they would justify as, I've got a bad attitude because my life sucks right now. How do we make sure that the situations we're in, the environments we're in, whether it's our fault or not, don't lead to a bad attitude? Because it starts with your mindset, right? How you interpret that situation. It goes back to those pathways. I think it's interesting when people will be like, well, that's just my personality. And I'm like, okay, great. So you're not teachable. Wow. Wait, what do you mean? It's just my personality. No, you're saying that you are subjected to who you are right now at 22 or at 16, that you cannot get better or change or update or shift a perspective, which no one would say,
of course
oh
not.
yeah, of course, right? So then that's not valid. I tend to lean towards this way through my personality, so it's harder for me to come back this way.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
What would you say, how do you adjust? I've never seen you in a bad attitude. I think you're always in a zone more than an attitude.
That's a nice way to put it, Gina. I like this. Thank you. Can you tell my wife this?
Yeah, sure. I'll text her straight after this. But do you ever find yourself in that situation and you're like, I need to switch now before it gets out of control? Or even, maybe let's go deeper than an attitude.
Okay.
Maybe like a bad mindset. Or a train of thought.
Okay, so this is good because my wife knows how to handle this. Because I will go to my wife immediately when I have a bad mindset.
Yeah.
And I know it's unhealthy.
Yes.
And I do this, 10, 12 times a year. So
every month.
Pretty on the regular. It's not in the rare species yet. But I'll be like, babe. And I'll start talking. And for me, that has been my step to trying to get better at that. Just expressing it to my wife. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. I think some people do need to do that. Some people try to keep it to themselves and try to figure it out. I did that for so long. But it was because I felt like I didn't have anyone to go to.
So it's that accountability that you need.
Well, and people hate the word accountability.
Because it's hard.
Because now I have to account for that.
Yep.
And I don't want that ability. I'm okay without having any of that. But really what it is a friend. And you hear the phrase, friends don't let friends fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't have to call it accountability. Let's call it a friend.
Friendship.
And friends don't let friends suck.
That's right.
Right? And bad attitudes.
Just like a little
suck.
earlier. Friends don't let friends suck, y'all. I had something in my teeth before we started, and Tim was the only one that told me that I had it. So.
There you go. Right? Because I could see you were not going to be happy about that after this. Okay. So do we have friends like that? Hey, I know you tend to lean like this because we're such good friends and this is your personality. Let's work together on how to handle this.
How would you redefine that? If you could give a teenager some advice instead of saying, this is my personality, how would you relabel that?
I don't know. It's a really good question. This is who I am right now and I'm working on it. I'm updating every single day.
I love that.
Of the way of how God's calling me into something. Yeah. Because I think that is a part of the calling. Don't think I say calling because I'm a pastor. I think that's a part of it.
To continually improve.
Caleb McNaughton, my accountability, which really was my friend, looked at me and said, bro, you're intense, you're aggressive, you have a temper, and I freaking love it. Let's start working through some things. And I don't know if he said it that way, but he's like, hey, when you say it like this, it makes me feel like you don't even like me.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, really? I do like you.
Yeah.
My bad. I wasn't trying to. No, I know you like me. But you said it this way. Your attitude made it feel this way. And so I'm letting you know how I received it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. But it'd be different for someone like a different person.
Sure.
So then I would have to oh, okay, this is how you received it.
Yeah.
Then from there, because I had an opportunity and a place to be able to grow, changed my life. So now, you know what people say? You're so passionate.
Instead of intense?
Yep.
There
You're so passionate. But I had the other day, dude, you're intimidating. Wow. And I had to evaluate and go, do I want that?
Yeah.
I think we would do better if we looked at our attitudes and we said, do I want that? Do I want that to be a part of my pattern? Do I want that to be a part of my life? Is that who's God has called me to be? And that's what he said. He said, hey, aggressive, you have a temper, and you're intense. Is that who God's called you to be? And I was like,
maybe not. Yeah.
No, I think he's called me to be passionate. Yeah. Okay. let's get it there.
Yes.
Right? How do we evaluate and go,
how do I make it something that I want?
I got to turn it. I got to shift it. I got to just move it over a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of us are not far off. We're not. You're doing a lot better than you think you are.
If you had to go back to your high school self, what advice would you give yourself in terms of your demeanor, your attitude, setting an example?
I would try to, I don't know, this one's hard, because I would try to listen to my parents the way that I do now.
You are so right. Because we disregard so much of what they say, because they don't understand TikTok. Exactly. They don't need to understand TikTok, they understand life. You know what I mean?
They did it in different circumstances, in different environments, for sure. And not a lot of people have parents to go to.
That's right.
But I would listen to them as well as I listen now.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like hanging on every word to go, oh, I know what you're actually trying to say there. You're not trying to hit me and tell me that all I want to do is be cool and I don't care about. Yeah. You're not trying to say that, but I used to think that.
Yeah, because that's how you interpret it.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it. I interpret it so small when they're trying to teach me these life lessons of don't quit. You got to stay committed. But I heard, I can't do what I want to do.
They're just ruining my fun.
They're just ruining, oh my God, I just have to do whatever my parents want to do.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that's
I'm pretty sure you sounded like that too.
I did. Oh my God, I was a punk. And so now I'm like doing this with Brody, and I'm like processing through that. I'm like, I know what you're thinking. Yes. You think that I think what you think is stupid. No. I think everything you think is amazing and cool and awesome. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. Let's do that. What I'm saying is, you started football. You're going to finish this season all the way through, whether you're hurt or not. Because at the end, when you're 25 and you have to make a decision on whether you should fulfill a commitment, I pray that you come back to this conversation in this moment to go, no, I don't quit. I'm going to keep going. That's really or when the pandemic hits in 2050.
Oh God, please no. We can't do another 100 years.
This is not prophecy. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I'm never going to give up.
Yeah.
So my son's not going to know burnout, like everyone knows now. I'm not saying what you're going through doesn't prove that you shouldn't have a bad attitude. I get it. There's some people that go through so many things. Things that we're praying for constantly as a youth ministry, like, oh my God, how are they making it?
Yeah.
And there are different circumstances that happen. But if we're not careful, we'll use that as a crutch to then create the next 15 years of our life, when the reality is, my gosh, like if I can look at things from a new perspective, through community, through the people around me, you know, through taking time and resting and taking a breath and what does this really look like? What are you really saying when you say this with that? I don't think we'd find ourselves in a demeanor where we're constantly have our fists up and mad or victim or poor pity me. Our God is I like to say our God's an aggressive God. Our God is a
passionate.
Is a passion, is offensive, is like, let's go, let's reach. Bad attitudes say, no, I don't care. This is the worst, right? And I'm like, that's not who we're called to be.
So if you were to sum up the demeanor we should be carrying as believers of Christ, as young people, those things that we should be working towards, turning aggression into passion. What are a few of those things that you think a young person should want as a demeanor? Humility.
Scripture talks about humility. The humbled will be exalted, and the people who exalt themselves will be humbled. I think humility is a big thing.
Absolutely.
And it's totally opposite of what culture teaches you.
Yeah.
However, when people are humble, you'll notice very quickly Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, 2020, Alabama Crimson Tide.
I'm so very glad you said that, because I have no idea.
I'm helping you. One of the most humble people you will ever meet. Not cocky, not arrogant, but confident.
Yeah.
All he does is work.
Yeah.
But humility is huge. I think you got to be humble, because that's how God was. God was very, very humble. He's very, very humble. I don't know, what would you say? Because I'm like, some things are like, it was like, oh, let's be passionate. But I don't want you to look at it and think, okay, I need to be Tim passionate. Yeah. Your passion looks different than my passion does.
Yeah. I know this seems a little cheesy or corny, but I do think what we want as a demeanor is the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah, okay, this is great.
Having those things of love, joy, peace, patience, being able to reflect that, you know, imagine walking into a room and people feel loved.
Feel joy. They feel patient.
Peace.
They feel self-control. They don't feel like it's chaotic or wild. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. There you go.
That's it.
The fruits of the Spirit.
Fruits of the Spirit always comes back to that.
I mean, it is incredible to think that the Word of God has every answer if you're willing to dig and try and find it. Yeah. Because he lays so many things out. Yeah. And there's nothing more depleting or defeating than just a bad attitude. Who wants to come home to a parent who has a bad attitude? Yeah. No one's raising their hand right now. Yeah. Who wants to come home to a husband with a bad attitude? No one's raising their hand right now. Okay, so who wants to come home with a teenager with a bad attitude? No parents raising their hand right now. You know how like sometimes it can kind of be fun to like just talk about your frustrations?
Yeah, to almost like sit in your pity for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost think that's okay. Yeah. For a moment. There were things that Jesus did for a moment that you were like, you're about to get nailed to a cross and you're in the garden picking flowers? What are you doing? Okay, probably saying the same thing when we're getting our frustrations out. Yeah. That's the whole deal. Like, I go to my wife, I'm like, oh my goodness. She said, cool, you got it out? Sweet, great. Change the attitude and start moving forward. Yeah. Perfect, thank you. That's the human in us. That's okay. Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing that we have to do when it comes to demeanor is evaluate it and have other people evaluate it and let them be honest. Yeah. That you might get someone that says, well, no, I feel like you're focused and in the zone. Yeah. Okay, I like that, thank you. Okay, I'm focused in the zone. Good, that's where I want to land. Yeah. Or I might get someone coming to me and go, no, you're intimidating, bro. And I go, do I want that? Yeah. I don't think I do. Yeah. And the what is common in our culture is to only take one part of the advice. Yeah, we look for it. I'll ask two people, but I'll only take one answer. We look for it. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, she told me, and I trust her more. You can justify it, yeah. We start justifying it, like, oh my goodness, if we were like actually took like a little survey of like lots of people, you know, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses? Oh my goodness, we're like, okay, I like this one. This is the one I choose. Yeah. But that's where it's like you can be multi-dimensional if you can get it from, let me get it from this person and that person and this person and that, because they're coming from different backgrounds. So how do you receive me? Yeah. Because to you, I might not remind you of anyone that you know, but to this other dude, you may go, no, you remind me of my dad, and I'm scared. Yeah. Oh. And that comes back to being teachable. Yeah. If we want to teach, we need to be teachable. You will not be able to teach with your life if the attitude or demeanor, the feeling, the moment you walk into the door is already saying, I'm closed, I'm closed, I'm not here. Nope, you can't approach me. Yeah. Now people can't even come into the presence, right? If I have a terrible presence, not like the presence of Tim, people can't receive what you have to say because you've already got doors in front going, nah, don't need it today. Don't care. I just make fun of you. I play victim the whole time. Yeah. I create my own thoughts based off of just what I see. And I think that hurts us from being able to teach with our lives. Yeah. That's really good. It's great questions. Yeah. A wrap-up question? Do you want us to keep going?
That landed nicely with the kind of more of a call to action. So I would outro it like, thanks for being here today. Okay. But I feel like that last question landed.
Well, this was a really good conversation. I learned a lot. And thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for teaching us. Thanks for reminding us that it's our lives that we can use to set those examples, especially as young people, and that we can switch our attitudes, our demeanors, to something that we want in our lives.
Yep. For sure. That's something I'm working on too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to evaluate all those things.
That's the real talk about.
Absolutely.
The real about. Definitely not that.
The real.
That's the real in real talk.
That's the real in real talk. See you later.
But we want you to continue this conversation in your e-groups with your parents, with your friends, those people that you're accountable to. Let's keep this going because we want to be able to make ourselves better. We want to be able to look at our lives, take the things that we want, and exclude the things, reject the empire, the things that we don't want, so that we can embrace the kingdom. We'll see you next time.
Smile more!
Cut.
Even the youth! All right, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right now. It means a lot. It means that you love us, and when we comment back, it means we love you. We're gonna get better at that, I promise you. I've hired like a lot more people than we used to have, so if it doesn't get any better, just comment below and let us know. But I love you.